Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about saying no. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, how did you develop the ability to say no to your colleagues and superiors? That was pretty easy. It came with confidence in my craft and my abilities and my expertise and so forth. So, what I usually argue is that comfort, which is a very big thing for a lot of people, myself included, comes from your, well, fundamentally, your confidence in that you can handle whatever is thrown your way. And in this regard, comfort can be many things, of course, but in this specific regard. And so when I, for example, had a conversation in the early days of my career when I was a junior software developer, it was very tricky for me to feel comfort in anything I did because I questioned myself and my beliefs and so forth. I was very unsure about a lot of things, and because I didn't really know what was what, like what would work, what would not work, how much time would something take. I had all these sort of uncertainties and unknowns, which caused me a great deal of discomfort and made it so that, well, I became a people pleaser very quickly because I simply didn't know really how to. I couldn't get a sense of comfort in myself and my abilities and what would be a good idea and what would be a bad idea, right? And so as my confidence in my own abilities, my knowledge and my experience and so forth grew, I got to a point where I started to like, because this is the reason why I argue that some people will be people pleasers forever, and some people will outgrow it a little bit depending on what type of flavor person you are. But even when I had many years of experience, I came to a point in my career where I realized that now, objectively, I know how to do this job. And what I mean objectively, I simply mean that I'm not necessarily going to claim that I was the best at it or that I am the best at it, but I know that based on many years of experience now and so forth, and all the conversations I have at work with all my coworkers and so forth, I know basically almost always, not always, what everybody's talking about. I roughly know how to build all the things that they're looking for, and I know that I can do so in accordance with expectations. I know that my code can go into production. I can, of course, break production like every single mortal person, like every software developer and so forth. But I know on average, I can meet the expectations, and the expectations not just on the code that I write, but the knowledge that I have. So I do my quotation marks, I am a unit of a software developer. And what I mean by a unit of a software developer is the thing that I'm trying to teach you guys about, and the thing that I'm trying to pitch to people who get this idea that unless you're a FANG developer or you're a Rockstar developer or whatever, then you're not going to be able to do this job. And the thing I'm trying to teach you guys is that every profession, every role, anything you do has reasonable expectations. And basic what I mean by that is just that you can always make the claim that someone should be better or so forth and so forth. You can always raise expectations or you can lower them as well, of course, and you can always make it like basically impossible to meet people's expectations. But at some point you reach some level of accommodation when with the people that put expectation on you, because as I like to say, if you're hiring a moving company to move your furniture, well, the average person is going to pretty much agree with that. Well, as long as it's able-bodied people who know, who are reasonably fit, it's going to be okay, right? Nobody's going to expect you to be a bodybuilder. Like, no sane person would expect that. Or like, if you're going to go and take a running course from some teacher somewhere, nobody's going to expect like the world champion in the from the Olympics to show up and show you how to do everything. It's going to be someone who knows a bit about running or exercise or so forth and so forth. Same thing with any craftsman. Whenever you hire anybody to do any work for you, you're lucky if you have someone who is extraordinary, but on average there is a sweet spot, like something where most people would consider, yeah, you are a good doctor, you are a good lawyer, or a good carpenter, it doesn't matter what you are, right? And when I reached that point, a sense of calm, as I said, comfort started setting in, because I knew that now at the very least I can meet expectations. And the thing that really killed off my knack to like say yes and not be able to say no and so forth came for me when I was able to sort of to sort of show myself that actually I can go beyond this. Now I'm not just at the level where I feel like I can sort of do this job in accordance with expectation. I'm a little bit lucky here because I've done so many interviews and so many discussions with various types. I've met a lot of types of developers, guys, and I can say that on average I can keep up with them, even the really, really great ones, like the best people I've ever talked to. It's not like when they speak I have no idea what they're saying and so forth, and my passion is high enough that I sort of keep up to date and so forth and so forth. So when I talk to the people that I know and so forth, the thing that usually gives me a sense of comfort when I say I think that this is a good idea, I think that this is a bad idea, or I think we should be doing this, don't think we should be doing that, the comfort comes from the fact that I know in my heart of hearts that there might be someone out there who is like so much smarter than me, or like that. That's why I always listen to everybody. It doesn't matter if it's a junior or a senior, I always hear them out and so forth, because I'm a firm believer in that all ideas, every opinion, everything should be justifiable and like tangible to people. You shouldn't just get your way because you're like the boss or something like that. You should prove that your thoughts and your ideas have merit. And so I follow the same rule. But the reason why I feel comfort when I say these things is because I know that on average my opinions and my thoughts and like when I say something and so forth is going to be the thoughts and opinions of one of the more qualified people to express something on that. Like, I'm not going to sell you, like, that's why I hate it when I work with people who have a role who don't actually know a fuck all about the work. Like, they can say that something is a good idea or a bad idea, and I can hear immediately 2 seconds talking to them, they don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. I hate those people. I hate them, like, with a passion. It would be the one thing I would change about, like, if I only got one wish for like how to change things around in order to sort of hopefully make all of humanity a little bit better. It would be that you should prove your merits regardless of what job you have. If there's not a test somewhere, ideally written or something like that, you shouldn't be able to get that job. It's the same thing for anything you do. You should be able to very definitively prove that your opinions and so forth should, like, they carry water, right? And so when I got to that point, saying no was fairly easy, because the only time I really say no to someone is when I know that this is not going to turn out well, and then I always follow up with, no, I don't think that we should be doing this. I would suggest we do this instead. Like, I always try to tell people that if you're going to shut someone down, or if you're going to say no or so forth, at least give people the courtesy of explaining why. And that is the tougher pill, though, because some people, even myself included, you know how it is. You don't want to be the bad guy sometimes, and you want to tell white lies and stuff like that. I've had to commit to myself a little bit to be more honest about things, so I try to learn how to not lie to people or tell them a white lie. I try to make the truth as palatable as I can while not compromising on my standpoint. And that takes a little bit of social, you need a few practice sessions on your social skills to do that well, I think. So what I want you to take away from this is that the way that I developed my ability to say no to my colleagues and superiors is that I grew my knowledge and my comfort in my craft and my abilities as a software developer to the point where I more or less feel confident in that on average there might be situations where I'm not the person who has the best thoughts or so forth and so forth, like, but on average when it comes to the work that I do, I feel very confident in that my thoughts and reasons behind why I might say yes to something or may say no to something are going to be pretty much on the mark. I'm not perfect, but on average, they're going to be very informed opinions and thoughts and so forth and so forth. So it doesn't really matter to me if I say yes to a thing or if I think something is a good idea or if I say no to a thing. It's just that I try to, as nicely as possible, express my thoughts and motivate them so that people sort of understand my train of thought when I talk to people. And that usually resonates very well with someone. So if I do get to a situation where someone takes offense or like feels like, oh no, you're saying no or you're shutting stuff down, it's usually not the case that it is as bad as it used to feel back in the day where I was really unsure about myself. So you mean I just assumed that I was wrong every single time because I didn't really know so much. Today I'm older and wiser and bolder, and so now I know better, and it's easy for me to now sort of stand my ground on some points because I've found them to be true. I always invite people to convince me otherwise, as long as I said, we all follow that rule. You don't get to be right just because you're my boss or so forth and so forth. You might be able to shut me up. You can use authority if you want to, and I'll do the thing that all the workers do. Either I quit or I grudge in silence. Anywho, but at the very least, we should be able to have a conversation, and that comes with maturity as well, to be a little bit more confident in yourself. And I think that is, well, it's not just an age thing, but a little bit of it comes from age as well. The more you see, the more you live, the more shit you go through, you start to realize that even if it feels like the most horrible thing in the world right now, you will probably survive it. And when you survive enough times, you sort of go, okay, this may not be pleasant, or like this person is going to throw a fit over this, but I'm going to be fine at the end of the day. And so that's the thing that made me sort of be able to feel comfortable. Like I built comfort, as I said, in myself, my abilities, and like my knowledge and stuff like that. And it's always is nice to make sure that you have a few savings and so forth, and keeping your CV up to date, so that if something really does go really badly from you just sort of not agreeing with, say, a superior, it doesn't ruin your entire world. Like you can go somewhere else. Those sort of securities, having them in place together with the knowledge that I've acquired over all the years, that's the stuff that made me feel the comfort to say no to most people if I really don't agree. Have a great day.